Hey, it's Jason with JLM Photography, and welcome back to the podcast. I am recording episode 23 from Colorado Springs again. I'm back in Colorado Springs because we're basically dog sitting. My brother-in-law, who got married a couple episodes past, is now on his honeymoon. And they didn't really want to board their dog for like 2.5 to 3 weeks, so they asked my wife and I if we'd come dog sit. Yeah, that sounds like a fun idea for me, so let's come to Colorado Springs and do that. So here we are, enjoying life. When I left San Antonio, it was 100 degrees already, maybe an index of like 104, doing a couple photo shoots, and that is just absolutely miserable. I hate shooting in the summertime in San Antonio. I fly into Colorado Springs, and it's just been gorgeous. Like, the weather is absolutely beautiful. We did have some pretty bad storms yesterday, which popped up out of nowhere. And yeah, it was just kind of weird, but it went from like 75 degrees down to high 50s. I'm wearing shorts and a hoodie, and my wife was freezing. So it was kind of funny, kind of interesting. Just life in a different state, life up in the mountains. Very, very cool, though. We are enjoying ourselves here and, getting to enjoy Jasmine, the dog, and take her for walks and enjoy the Rocky Mountains. So, yeah, episode 23. So, let's get to it. So, let me tell you about this thing. So, yesterday, right, I told you little storms popped up. It was kind of cool. So, when I learned that I was going to be here in Colorado Springs several months back, I reached out to a dancewear line that I'm actually shooting for in San Antonio. Now, they're based out of Denver. It's called Dragon Wing Girl, and they pretty much do not necessarily dancewear, but like athletic wear for young girls. And the girls, I think it's ranging in the age from like 8 to 14, which, that's pretty cool. I work with a lot of young dancers in that age bracket, and so a lot of the girls that I work with in San Antonio, at least a lot of the dance reps that I use, work or do ambassadorship stuff with Dragon Wing Girl. So, again, they're based out of Denver, so I went ahead and reached out and said, hey, I'm coming to Colorado Springs in June, and would love to set up something if we could set up something. And so she took it and ran with it. The owner of the company, her name is Allie, and it was really cool. So what we had something set up for last night. And the hard part about doing that is I'm not familiar with the area, so I'm really kind of at their mercy for where they want to do it. The location was beautiful. I've actually been to the location before. It was kind of about 55 miles north of me, maybe 25 miles south of Denver. And so we were able to pull in some of their ambassadors for their clothing line from basically Colorado Springs up to Denver, which was really cool. So we had I think 10 girls sign up. Only 9 were able to show. There was a reason for that. So as we're, the day's kind of going, and I'm telling a story for a reason. So, as the day starts to get in, I think it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and these storms start coming up. And it's like out of nowhere, like the forecast never once showed any storms. But now you got these storms that are basically popping up from Colorado Springs all the way to Denver. And it's like, oh my goodness, this isn't cool. So I'm like constantly checking the radar the whole day just to see how things are going to work out. And now I've got the parents of these ambassadors basically reaching out to me saying, hey, we've got rain in the area. What's going on? Do we have any kind of an alternate location in case we're not able to shoot? Well, again, I'm not from here. I don't have a clue about any locations. And a lot of times indoor locations aren't necessarily ideal because sometimes there's prior coordination needed. Sometimes there's money needed to be able to shoot in a location. And again, I don't know any locations, so I'm really just kind of stuck. And so what I tell them is, look, hey, I'm going to be here next Sunday. If we end up having to reschedule, maybe we can try to reschedule for next Sunday. The problem is my schedule is clear, but theirs might not be clear. So we're just going to kind of have to play it by ear. I tell them, look, my gear is weather sealed to an extent. So if it's just drizzle and rain, I don't mind shooting. But that's going to be their call because they've got dancers and models basically from like 6 to like 14. And so I'm going to leave that back to the parents and they, you make that choice. Anyway, so again, day keeps progressing. These storms keep building. And I'm like, this is rough. So, it takes about an hour and 15 minutes to get to where we need to leave. So we go ahead and leave a little bit early because I want to make sure I'm there on time, nothing happens. So we leave at 4 o'clock. And as we leave, it's not really raining in Colorado Springs anymore. I'm looking, the forecast shows that it's kind of past me. And as we start heading out, this big storm just pops up basically right over the area that we're going to shoot. And I'm like, this sucks. But I can't really do anything because I'm driving. I can't like reach out and say, hey, So we had to stop for gas. So we stopped for gas about 15 miles from the location. And it's there that I reach out and say, hey, look, the weather is bad, but according to the radar, it looks like it's going to show. So if we can just weather this storm and we can just kind of let it pass, we're not supposed to shoot till 6. So let's just see how it goes. I don't want to cancel anything because if we cancel, we might not be able to reschedule this. And this is kind of a big deal, for them and to do these event type things. So I really did not want to cancel. Plus, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get it rescheduled. So I'm like, let's just weather that storm, right? Weather that storm. So I get the gas, I start driving, and then just buckets of rain start pouring. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I finally get up on top of this mountain we're going to actually shoot, and it basically overlooks the Rockies just south of Denver. I mean, it's just a gorgeous location. But with the storms, you can't fully see the Rockies in the background. It's, it's kind of gray, overcast, real stormy. But I can see that the weather's starting to level up a little bit. Now it's super windy. There's a lot of lightning. But all the parents start showing up, and they're showing up early. And so we're kind of in a chat on Instagram. Hey, let's just keep waiting. Let's wait it out. It's like 5:30 at this time. Like, if we wait till 6 and start shooting at 6 when we were scheduled to shoot, I think we'll be able to do it. And everybody decided, hey, let's wait, because, not everybody, it was just 5 minutes from them. So they're all making a day of it, right? And so they give us the time, or they give me the time. They've never met me, but they're giving me the benefit of the doubt. They're looking at the weather too, and they're like, all right, let's just wait this out. So 6 o'clock, I head over to the little shelter building, start unpacking my gear, getting it set up, and they start coming under there. And so I just kind of let them know, hey, this is what the plan is. Let's just wait just a few more minutes. And I'll tell you, the photos that we got, and I haven't looked at them on the computer yet, but looking at the back of my camera, the sky in the background, here's the thing. When those storms pass, a lot of times what you get is so much better than what you were going to get without those storms. Hopefully you see where I'm leading with this. Weather the storm. Weather the storm, because I think there's better things on the other side of the storm. The problem is sometimes we just can't get so far past that storm. We can't get so far past what's in front of us, and we get so short-sighted. I did a shoot with a congressman several years ago. And again, this is kind of a big deal because it's a congressman. And he basically was releasing a book and he needed some shots. And it's not like his time is just free. So if I have to reschedule, it's not just an easy reschedule. And it's not an easy reschedule on his part either. So we see these storms coming and they're just popping up. This is down in San Antonio again. And I basically tell him, hey, look, we got this storm coming, but I know that your schedule's tight, my schedule's tight. But if we can just hold out, weather this storm, it's going to actually look good afterwards, that those clouds are going to break up. man, I'm telling you, those sunsets that we got breaking through the clouds, the colors in the sky were just phenomenal. And that was the same way with this shoot last night. So the cool thing is all these dancers and models, they're wearing, athletic wear, and they're bright and full of color, and they just paired perfectly with the sky that we got in the background. And even if I shot with the gray sky in the background, the colors just like jump off the screen. And so again, the message for this podcast is weather those storms. Just weather them. And I'm not talking literal. I'm talking, in your photography, there's going to be times where it's not always going to be easy, and it's not always going to be tough. Sometimes it's just a matter of being your busy period of the year. So for me, I just finished senior season, and I feel like I have been in a storm since February. I've been really tight on my schedule for my podcast, my YouTube videos, getting clients work out, and it's just been one thing after the next. And then, of course, I'm trying to make time for family. And so I've got the anniversary trip that we did, and I've got this wedding that we had to come up here for in Colorado. And those were just extra things. Not that they were bad, but they're just extra things that are kind of compiling and making it a little bit more difficult for me to do what I needed to do. And so I look at it like it's a storm, and these things just kind of are popping up, maybe not necessarily out of nowhere. Maybe they're popping up because of things that I've done and things that I've chosen to do, but they're still popping up. And you take them one thing at a time. Let this storm pass and go after that. Let this storm pass and go after that. And so I trying to be positive with this message here, related to my photography, but this really can be related to life in general. Let the storms pass. Just wade through those storms, because at the end of the storm, it's going to be better. I cannot wait to look at the photos from last night. It was just amazing. One direction we have stormy weather overlooking the Rockies in the background. Now, I'm shooting it wide open, so you might not fully get all those details, but you can still see it. But the colors of the dancewear, the models, just coming out, it's just phenomenal. Then you look at another direction, and you've got, Denver off in the distance with a beautiful sky, just the colors in the sky, going up to and coming towards me is kind of the gray. And so you got these blues and these oranges and these yellows and then these grays, and it's just gorgeous. And I told the families, the parents afterwards, I'm like, just thank you so much for trusting me, trusting that this storm was going to pass, because we were able to get something special, I think, something really neat, something very interesting. And without it, if they didn't do that, if they just stopped at the first sight of trouble, they wouldn't have gotten what they're going to get. And I think they're going to be extremely happy with what they're going to receive. Unfortunately, one family wasn't able to come because the storm was too much. There was hailing and then flooding. That's neither here nor there. But, sometimes the storms are strong. Sometimes they're tough. And maybe you don't get through it right away, but eventually you'll be able to get through it. And again, that's the important message for this podcast today is take those busy periods, take those storms, take those trials that you have to go through, because everybody needs to go through them. It's not just a cakewalk all the time, but take them in stride, fight through them, have patience, knowing that at the end you're going to have something so much better and something that's worth it. It takes patience, and it's not easy. It's not like this is the first one I've ever had to go through. I'm sure that the first storms that I had to go through, it was a struggle. And honestly, if you go all the way back to podcast number 1, you'll hear that when those first signs of that first storm to me kind of came up, I kind of quit. And I didn't push through it. I wasn't patient. I didn't wait. I said, this isn't going anywhere, and I'm going to stop. Luckily, 5 years later, I decided I'm going to pick it back up again. And so now I'm like playing catch up. But those choices that I made then have led me to where I am today as a photographer, and more importantly, as a person in general. They have built me differently. They've changed my outlook on certain things. And if you take nothing else away, have patience and wait through these storms. Life is not easy. Life is difficult. Photography is not easy. Photography is very difficult, and building a business, building a clientele, building a brand is a lot more difficult than what I actually imagined. I remember, and I've said this before in the podcast, I remember thinking 4 or 5 years ago that, it would take me 2 to 3 years to kind of get where I wanted to be with my photography as far as a senior photographer goes. And it has not taken 2 to 3 years. It's probably been right about 5 years. Now I feel very comfortable. I feel like my brand is big enough in San Antonio. Would I like it to be bigger? Absolutely. But I've had to weather a long storm to get to where I needed to be. And I'm so grateful that I did. I think it's extremely, just an extreme blessing. Let me just say that, to have been where I was and where I am now. Never 5 years ago would I imagine where I am now. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted, but I didn't see some of the things that I'm getting now. And I think that's some of that patience. I think those are extra blessings that have, popped up into my life. So, there's going to be good times and bad times and I feel like I'm in a good season right now. Still have storms that pop up, even though things are going good. But you just know, hey, I'm going to take them in stride. I'm going to take it one day at a time, and I'm going to work through it, and I'm going to go to the next day. And it's going to get better. There are times where it's really rough, and I get that. But don't let it get you down. Grab people around you that can support you and help build you. I think that really does truly help. But also in those times, maybe look for alternate ways. It was kind of cool. So, as I'm driving out there, and of course, GPSs are fantastic. Apps are fantastic. I use Apple Maps, but I know Waze is a big one. And as we're driving out there, it basically diverted us because there was massive traffic because of this storm. There must have been an accident or something. And so it kicked me off the highway and had me drive a frontage road, which there are very little frontage roads driving between Colorado Springs to Denver. But it kicked me off and it got me onto one frontage road, and it took me on an alternate route past all of that, past one of the little storms, past the traffic. And so sometimes there's alternate routes. That's what I'm saying. That's what don't be too scared to diverge and move off the path that you think you're going on, but go an alternate route. And it led me to the same destination. It led me to the same spot. Still a storm, but you just got there a different way. And, again, I just want this to be positive in the sign of those dark times, in the sign of those showers, that things are going to change, things are going to get better. If it's tough right now, it will get better. You just have to persevere. You just have to wait it out, be patient, and get through that storm. And I think at the end of every storm, you've got better, beautiful days ahead of you. And man, I'm just super excited to see the images that we shot last night. I just think they're going to be incredible. I do truly think that the skies that were all around us, we would not have gotten those had we rescheduled, had we not shot, of course. But if we rescheduled, who knows whether the next Sunday we would have any kind of a sky like that, whether we would have even be able to shot. So if you just wait and be patient, let that storm pass, things will work out. And that's basically all I've got for this episode. I really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, I've got podcast comes out every Tuesday, and if you haven't listened to any of the past ones, go binge them, check them out. I think they're fun. I think there's good information for anybody out there. I do try to keep it more photography centric, but I think this one was definitely photography related, but more life in general. And I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that you continue to get stuff out of this. Please feel free to leave comments, because I want more topics. I need more topics to talk about, and I want to talk about what interests you. So please comment below. Let me know, hey, talk about this. Give me an idea for this. Let me know something that is on your mind as far as photography goes, and I will try to touch it if I can. Remember, I've got a new YouTube videos coming out every Tuesday, and until next time, keep shooting.